I'm 81 years old, and I learned too late that being right cost me everything. At this age, you don't have many illusions left. The house is quieter than it has ever been. The clock in the hallway sounds louder. I wake up before the sun most mornings, not because I have somewhere to be, but because sleep doesn't hold me the way it used to. When you're 81, you start counting things differently. Not years ahead, years behind. Conversations you can still remember. Voices you can't hear anymore. Doors that will never open again. I'm not telling you this to make myself feel better. That time has passed. I'm telling you because there's not much time left, and I don't want to leave this world without saying it plainly. I was right about a lot of things, and it ruined me. When I was younger, being right felt like strength. It felt like stability. I grew up in a small house with thin walls and a father who believed that a man's word was the only thing he truly owned. He didn't bend. He didn't apologize. He stood firm, even when it cost him comfort. I admired that. In my 20s, I carried that same spine into my marriage. I married at 26. Her name was Layla. She had a soft voice and a way of looking at you like she could see past your words. She laughed easily. I didn't. I worked long hours. Accounting firm. Neat desk. Clean numbers. I liked that numbers behaved. They followed rules. They balanced out in the end. People didn't. Layla and I didn't fight loudly. That's the thing. There were no plates thrown. No slammed doors. Just long discussions that turned into quiet standoffs. She would say, "You don't have to win every time." And I would say, "I'm not trying to win. I'm just explaining." But I was trying to win. I corrected her in front of friends. Not cruelly. Just casually. "That's not how it happened," I'd say. Or, "No, you're remembering it wrong." I thought accuracy mattered more than harmony. When she told me she felt lonely, I explained why she shouldn't. I reminded her of the house, the vacations, the school we put our son in. I laid out the evidence like a case in court. Feelings, I believed, were things to be solved. She would sit across from me at the kitchen table, hands folded, and grow quiet. I mistook that silence for agreement. It wasn't agreement. It was retreat. In my 30s and 40s, my career moved upward. Promotions came. My name on a frosted glass door. People listened when I spoke. At work, being right was rewarded. It meant bonuses, respect, control. At home, I carried that same posture. If our son wanted to quit piano, I explained discipline. If Layla wanted to visit her sister more often, I explained budgeting and schedules. I had reasons for everything. I missed small things. A school play because of a meeting. A dinner because a client needed revisions. Layla would say, "He looked for you in the audience." And I would say, "He'll understand when he's older." He's 52 now. I'm not sure he does. The cost didn't arrive all at once. That's what makes it hard to notice. It arrived in small withdrawals. Layla stopped telling me about her day. Our son stopped arguing and started staying out longer. The house grew efficient, organized, polite. I told myself this was maturity. Around my mid-50s, Layla tried one more time. I remember the exact evening. It was raining, steady and gray. She stood by the sink, not looking at me. She said, "I don't feel close to you anymore." I responded the way I always did. I asked for specifics, examples, evidence. She turned around then. Her eyes were tired, not angry. "I don't want to build a case," she said. "I want to feel married." I told her she was being vague. That was my answer. A year later, she asked for a separation. Even then, I thought it was temporary. I thought once she realized the practical difficulties, she would return. We divided things calmly. The house. The accounts. Our son was already in university by then. I remember signing the papers and thinking, she'll see I was steady. Reliable. break. She didn't come back. For a while, I told people it was mutual, that we had grown apart. I listed logical reasons why it made sense. Late at night, though, the house echoed differently. Her absence had a shape to it. A hollow. I dated a little. Nothing serious. I found that conversations felt like interviews. I didn't know how to sit with someone's feelings without trying to adjust them. My son visited less over the years. Not out of cruelty. Just distance. He built his own life in another city. Married. Had a daughter I see on holidays. When he calls, our conversations are polite. Weather, health, news. There are gaps we don't step into. I used to think he was too sensitive as a child. Now I wonder if he simply learned that sharing with me felt like stepping into a debate. The turning point came when Layla got sick. Cancer. Ovarian. I was 73 when I got the call. We hadn't been married for almost 2 decades by then. We spoke occasionally, mostly about our son. He asked if I wanted to visit her in the hospital. I almost said no. I told myself it might be awkward, that she might not want to see me. But I went. She was thinner, smaller somehow. The hospital bed seemed too large for her. When she saw me, she smiled gently, like she always had. We talked about ordinary things at first. The doctors, the treatment plan, our son's daughter. Then there was a pause. She looked at me and said, "You always needed to be certain." I nodded. I thought she was complimenting me. She shook her head slightly. "It must be lonely, always standing on your side of the line." I didn't have an answer for that. For the first time in my life, I didn't try to correct her. I wanted to say I had provided, that I had stayed faithful, that I had done what a husband was supposed to do. But lying there, attached to tubes, she wasn't talking about duty. She was talking about warmth. She died 6 months later. At the funeral, people spoke about her kindness, her listening, the way she made them feel understood. No one mentioned whether she was right about things. That was the first crack in me. After that, I began replaying conversations in my head. Not the big arguments, the small moments. The time she told a story at dinner and I interrupted to fix a minor detail. The evening she cried and I told her she was overreacting. The morning our son showed me a drawing and I pointed out where the perspective was off. I wasn't cruel. I wasn't violent. I was precise. And precision can be cold. Now, at 81, the days are long. I make my own breakfast. I sit by the window with my coffee. Sometimes I take out old photo albums. In the pictures, I look composed, in control. Layla is leaning slightly toward me in most of them. I'm standing straight, hands at my sides. I wonder how many times she wanted me to lean back. There are things you can fix in life. Finances, broken fences, even strained friendships, sometimes. But you cannot go back into a conversation and choose different words. You cannot sit in a hospital room again and say what you were too proud to say. I called my son last year and apologized. Not in a grand speech. Just a simple sentence. "I think I spent too much time trying to be right," I told him. There was a long silence. He said, "I know." He didn't say it with anger, just recognition. We are trying now, in our own late way. He visits a bit more. I listen more than I speak. Sometimes I catch myself wanting to correct a detail, and I let it pass. It feels unnatural, but it also feels lighter. If you're listening to me, I'm not telling you to be wrong. I'm not saying truth doesn't matter. I'm saying that sometimes being right is a wall. You stand behind it, certain and protected. And the people you love stand on the other side, waiting for you to step around it. I thought love meant providing answers, stability, logic. Layla wanted something simpler. She wanted to be met halfway, even if halfway meant admitting I might not have the full picture. I wish I had understood that earlier. There is a particular kind of loneliness that comes not from abandonment, but from self-imposed distance. You build it brick by brick with every correction, every insistence, every quiet victory. And one day, you look around and realize you won all the arguments and lost the room. I don't have many years left. The doctor is honest with me. My heart is weaker now. Stairs take longer. Names slip away sometimes. But clarity has arrived. Finally, I would trade a dozen promotions for one evening at that kitchen table, where instead of defending my point, I reached for her hand and said, "Maybe you're right. Tell me more." I can't do that now. All I can do is sit with the truth. If this means something to you, don't rush to fix it. Just sit with it. Think about the last argument you had. Ask yourself what you were protecting. Sometimes it isn't the truth. Sometimes it's pride. I spent a lifetime protecting mine. At 81, pride keeps you warm for about 5 minutes. After that, it's just you and the quiet. And the quiet is very honest.